Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tim, and welcome to Tim Talks, the show that's only partially a show, but really is just an excuse for me to sit down and talk to my very talented friends. And speaking of talented friends, I have more with me today, and a very special group at that. For those who have been watching my Twitch streams for the last couple of weeks, you may recognize some of these people, and then a third that you probably don't, but will by the end of this call. We have two of the stars of the game Contradiction that I've been playing, and the developer behind it. So welcome to Tim Follin, Guilor, I almost did it again there, and Rupert Booth. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hi, I'm John Google. And
you're John Google,
yes,
did you say?
John Google, that's right. No, actually, I'm Ryan Rand. I'm Ryan Rand.
Yes.
You are Ryan Rand, yes.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to have you all on the show.
And it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
As I said, Tim, you are the developer of the game Contradiction. And John, you played Ryan Rand.
I did.
And of course, Rupert, you are the indomitable Inspector Jenks.
I was Inspector Jenks, yes.
And a lovely job at that, sir. So, real quick, for those who may not have caught the shows or the VODs, tell us a little bit about Contradiction. Let's start with Tim and give us kind of a brief, from a game perspective, overview of what Contradiction is.
Right, Contradiction is a FMV game it uses all video. That's what an FMV game is. I don't know why I'm saying that. It uses all video. But was developed originally as an audio adventure game, actually, believe it or not, many years ago. Never got it off the ground. We approached the BBC with it originally, actually, and they hated it and said, go away. Who are you? Get out of my garden and things like that. But then eventually they said, go and, develop it more, and we didn't, and then we left it on the shelf. And then I kind of came back to it a few years ago thinking, I could probably do that now, with an iPad and things like that. So I did that. I started working on it. I didn't know how to program, so I had to teach myself to program to do it in JavaScript, which is actually a web thing. But started scripting it, really scripted it quite, I wouldn't say quickly because I wasn't working on it full time, but I didn't put I didn't get a group of writers together or anything to do it. I kind of put it together myself. And kind of as a demo initially, because I thought, well, this will be a demo. I'll be able to see whether it works or not, and then if it works, we'll be able to make a proper game. And then, as the ball started rolling, sort of thing, and I called John, didn't I, John, about making this sort of teaser for it. And and then basically, suddenly we were kind of making this game, and it was there, and we were casting people, and suddenly it was kind of turning into this huge thing that we had to kind of go ahead and make. Instead of just sort of pretending that it was something we might make.
It became really real all of a sudden.
It's very, very real all of a sudden, very quickly, in a kind of very frightening sort of way, yeah.
And so then you mentioned the casting process. That actually transitions nicely into John, who did that casting process for the game. And you also cast yourself. Maybe a little bit of typecasting.
I cast John. That's the only bit of casting I did.
Yes, it's true. He did cast me, which is what I was saying just before we had that little preamble before we started the interview. When I said it all happened by accident, because I don't think Tim quite understood how quickly I could get people together, and then suddenly he was like, "Oh, so you've got a cast? All right, okay."
At an alarming rate, it turned out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But and then obviously the most important piece of casting. Well, there were two very important pieces of casting, and that's the protagonist, that's Jenks, and also the guest star. Those were the two most important pieces of casting, and I had difficulty getting the guest star, but I didn't have difficulty getting Rupert, thank God. But we did have a demo Jenks, didn't we?
We did. Yeah.
Do you remember the drunk? Do you remember the drunk in...
yes.
He was the original... He was the demo Jenks.
Really?
Yeah.
Kind of like they had the other gentleman who was in Back to the Future before Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. Like
there's some buried deep demo tape somewhere.
Yeah, like Lyle Waggoner's Batman, that kind of thing. Is it Lyle? It is, isn't it? It did happen very quickly, and I call it by accident. I really do.
It was, isn't it?
Everything accidentally fell into place, and from the moment, I think we were filming 2 weeks after you'd called me just to make the initial suggestion that we should do it, weren't we? I think it was 2 weeks later we were filming.
Wow, 2 weeks from conception to filming.
I mean, Tim said to me the other day that he found the original script for Contradiction on his laptop, and it just said demo. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what it was. It was.
It's still called. It hadn't got to that process where we'd finalised the script. It was just demo. It was just.
Yeah. Well, that's why we kind of launched into it, and I was kind of just thinking, God, this is not going to work. This is a complete disaster, sort of thing, to be honest. But. And still
Rupert,
is.
what did it seem like from your perspective? Now we're to the point where you started joining. You got contacted by John. Did you accept immediately?
We'd worked together before, and he phoned me up previously to say, "Oh, look, there's this thing happening, this intriguing game called Contradiction. Gonna see if I can get you a part in it. Probably as one of the suspects." And I thought, "Oh, great, fine," and left it, and we talked about other things, and then. A couple of weeks later, he did the proper agent thing. He phoned up and went, "Sorry, mate, you haven't got the part." And I went, "Oh, well, no, I'm easy to go. You've got the lead instead." What?
Oh! The bait and switch. Just
Tim Follin, and suddenly start getting these enormous screeds of script, which like anything I'd read before, because, of course, the whole thing wasn't linear. And so there was an awful lot of repetition of going, "Have you seen this before? Have you seen that before? Do you know what this is?" And all that sort of you didn't really have any idea to approach. So
that was.
John and I quickly started talking like actors about it. And it was John actually who said, "Look, take it a few degrees, take it a few notches higher than you normally would, because it's going to be seen in bits and pieces."
Right. Yeah.
So that's the only.
Well, I think also
extraordinary performance, which was all over the place.
And the thing is, it had to be big, didn't it?
Yeah, and it had to be. I did encourage Rupert to really, really, really. On the day when we did our scenes, I was very keen to ham it up deliberately, very, very keen, because I understood that what we had was a lot of functional dialogue. It was only functional. In other words, we had to make a virtue of the fact that the dialogue was only there to perform a function, but at the same time, it was good that it was there to perform a function, simply because whenever you write something, you're always told everything should lead somewhere. No dialogue should be dropped. So you
should be laying down the smoking gun basically with every line.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think this game has at its real strength. Not only do you have the 120% personalities, it's not really that far off of reality, but it is a little bit more enhanced.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's that same level of commitment.
Yeah.
As far as the acting goes, you guys are in the world, and that encourages me as the player to be in the world with you.
Precisely, absolutely. I mean, the other thing that we wanted to do, particularly with Jenks, is a lot in Britain. We're a load of. You probably have noticed it. We're a load of miserable gets. We're a load of miserable. We have a lot of problems. We have a lot of emotional and psychological
issues.
We do have issues.
Big issues.
A lot of people, big issues. Yeah, they sell it in the street. There's even a magazine about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But
I hear the sun is full of nothing but your issues.
This is true. But a lot of people have said to me, even friends have said to me, he doesn't really look like a policeman, does he? And I've yeah, of course, that's the point. If he looked like your typical policeman and acted like your typical policeman, then what you would have is a very typical, boring piece of crap. What we're trying to... I mean, does John Steed look like a policeman? Does John Steed, Patrick Macnee in the Avengers, does he look like a secret agent? Yeah. No. I mean...
you have... He helped me was Tim saying fairly early on, look, I want to get the kind of vibe of the Hammer films from the 1960s. Well, that's what we're... Right, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Sort of thing now.
Well, we're trying to create something that is a world removed slightly from the real world.
Yeah.
And a lot of people picked up on that, he doesn't have a mobile phone. It's like, get over it, eh? What about that?
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. It would be very believable that in this little small seedy town, they don't have cell reception.
Exactly.
It's just a place that's that far removed from civilization. And in a game where we're dealing with possible devil worshippers and things of that nature, little small steps of disbelief like that lead you to the bigger steps of disbelief later, where you're just like, I'm going to roll with it because this game's great and I don't care anymore.
This is why we love you so much, Tim, because you immediately got it. You got it immediately.
Yeah.
You would...
I'm in love with you, Tim.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of, did you ever play the Tex Murphy games?
Tim
Any of
will
you?
know, won't you? Tim
I,
Follin.
well, I didn't. I kind of know about them. I didn't actually play them at the time. I kind of knew about them, when they were happening, sort of thing. So I knew people who did play them. So I kind of knew
That
about the
most
genre.
recent one, Tesla Effect, is absolutely worth picking up. If
Yeah.
you should dive into that. But anyway, I love those FMV games. They were always my favorite because as someone who acts and enjoys being in front of the camera, I appreciate the process behind it all because, like Rupert mentioned, you get this huge freaking script because you're having to deal. It's a choose your own movie, basically.
Yeah.
You're having to make so many different versions of so many different pieces of conversation that I can only imagine that it's combining two of the most heinous projects of making a movie and making a video game, shuffling cards together.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious about that process. Did you shoot everything and then go into the game studio and put it together, or was it kind of like a simultaneous type deal?
No. We shot everything, didn't we? We shot everything over a 7-day period, I think it was. Initially, was it 7 days?
What?
Yeah, we had.
I can't
Yeah.
remember. I know that I ended up in hospital.
Yeah.
After my scenes.
Was it
No,
not
that's
just 5?
seriously, Tim L.
The
I
first
did.
shoot, was that not just 5 days?
The first shoot was. Hang on, I've got tangled in
you
wires.
might be right. What the hell's going on?
I know.
That's that technology coming back to get you for talking shit earlier.
The charges.
Yeah, it's an auton.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
But yeah, so God, just a full 7 days of shooting, and then you go and make the game.
Yeah, basically it was kind of about, like Rip saying, I think it was a Thursday to a Wednesday, or we maybe finished Tuesday actually, so maybe you're right, maybe it is 5 days. But then we had another 2 days filming.
Sorry, I'm laughing because we're doing a very British thing. Oh, was it a Wednesday or was it a Thursday?
Well, I mean, leave it to Inspector Jinx to have the right information when you need it. So don't worry, we've got the right guy on the case.
John, who was that interview we did? And I got very upset about 5:30. Do you remember that? I got really embarrassed by it. I remember saying that. The question was, what time does it start? And I said, I think it starts about 5:30. I'm really embarrassed about that.
I don't know. Can I just put my hand up at this point and say that I have no idea what you're talking about? What are you talking about?
Right, I'm going.
Yes, I've had enough as well.
When in doubt, just put on the mask, down the Drano. Oh God.
You see, that's what I wanted to do, Tim Leftwich. I have to call you Tim Leftwich because we've got Tim Follin as well. When I was flying, we were obviously we knew that his drink kept going up and down. Mm-hmm. So what would have been is every time they cut to him, he had a different drink, or a bit of domestic, water.
I guess that would be one good way to deal with the continuity.
Yeah.
Are you on the bleach again, John?
Sorry?
Are you on the bleach again?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Well,
isn't that what goes in every cult leader's punch? I mean, Jim Jones set a great precedent.
My teeth. I've got to get. I'm on the NHS bleach.
So anyway, getting back to somewhere towards topic, tell us a little bit about the actual shooting process for something like this.
Fucking nightmare it was.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
What we were doing, our days? We were starting at 8 in the morning and finishing at probably about 10 at night.
Well, me and Rupert were finishing at 4 in the morning, actually.
Well, yeah. Exactly.
Earlier on today that we finished his pickup, we finished his shots at 2 in the morning. Then we had to do all my pickups. So that day went on forever.
Oh yeah, no, I'd totally imagine.
The most expensive location was that manor house, wasn't it, that we filmed in?
Yeah.
Who were, let's face it, not the most cooperative, were they?
No,
really? Hey,
anyway.
No, listen, location problems are a thing that any production has to deal with. I can only imagine what you guys had.
Yeah. Well, we filmed everything bar Rupert's part, didn't we? Because it was all shot one camera sort of thing. So all the interviews, it was one camera.
Did you do some movie magic to make the inside of the manor?
No, we went back and we paid them. What did you pay them, John? 50 quid or something?
£80, I think it was.
In the end, yeah. But
I'm going to be honest. You said you don't want to talk about it too much, but they had pound signs in their eyes, and they thought we were a massive, massive company. And I ended up dealing with them because Tim just said if I deal with them anymore, I'm just going to kill somebody. So I took over for a while. And
Yeah.
she was
Yeah,
very.
we're not back there again in Contradiction 2 now, are we?
No.
Well, the end of the story is by the end of it, they thought we were the bee's knees, you see.
Mm.
Because suddenly when they found out that Paul Darrow was our guest star, these were all middle-aged kind of, well, they were kind of in their 50s and 60s women who ran this thing. And they all remembered Paul Darrow as the big heartthrob from the 1970s. And suddenly it was, well, if you need anything ever again, please don't hesitate to give us a call. And all of that.
Hey, listen, at least you got them to turn around somehow, however it happens to be.
We only had an hour.
And
We only had 1 hour to film all the Rupert scene on that. So it's basically the whole thing was done in 1 hour.
so you paid £500 for 1 hour.
No. That was the supplementary 50 quid, wasn't it? We got.
Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah.
they wanted
they
wanted a further 480 on top of the 480 we'd paid, and I think we paid. Didn't we buy half an hour for 200 quid as well at some stage? I can't remember.
Here's the thing. At the end, it was worth it because the product you got out of it was totally worth it. Whatever the troubles that you have to go through.
Yeah. Was it a Wednesday or a Thursday?
And so Rupert, as probably the person with the least involved in the other parts of the process, what was did you actually work with some of the other actors when you were doing the scenes? I noticed that a lot of the stuff, it didn't have a lot of over-the-shoulder type.
No, most of the time they were there. I'd sit and feed them the questions, they'd give their responses, and then Tim would turn the camera around onto me or them, whichever he hadn't been filming. Apart from Magnus, who, like I say, it was 2 a.m. when we shot his stuff, and then he just went home and collapsed, and Tim turned the camera on me, and I stared into it.
He had to drive back to Scotland, Rupert. He had to drive from Liverpool to Scotland.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And so what was the weirdest part then, Rupert, of having to do this whole process of inhabiting this new world?
All of it.
Really?
Because, you see, I'm not a gamer. I know nothing about... The last game I played, I think, was Pac-Man in 1982. And so I didn't know anything about how to sort of approach playing a game character. This is where we got the whole idea to make it kind of...
I see. You haven't exactly seen how far game processes. You're like, are you gonna make me into an 8-bit person? I don't know.
I was hugely disappointed. I wasn't actually interrogating a ghost made out of about 10 pixels that was going.
Now here's the thing that might happen in the sequel. James travels through time and space.
Yeah, let's talk some James Weeks Batman.
So, but the thing is, there was such a volume of stuff. All the rest of them, they got to swan in for a day and just do bits and pieces. And I'm sat there every day going, right, here we go. Here's the bag again. Okay, here's the mask. Here's the magnet. And try and make it different each time. I mean, I got into the vibe of it by the end. I was going, yeah, there's this, and all that. But yeah. Because there was such a case of, right, where am I sitting? Who am I talking to? What line am I saying now? Got it, thanks. Okay, I'll just do that. And cross my fingers for the best.
Yeah. And so then...
obviously I was extraordinarily professional about the whole thing and knew exactly what I was doing all the time. But now...
Listen, here's the thing. As long as you can act like you know what you're doing, it's all that matters.
Oh, yeah.
It's all that really matters. Yep. And so then... How long did the actual process of putting the game portion together take, Tim?
Around 14 years. No, it was something like, I think I started on it. I was telling John, I put a trailer out, after we'd filmed it, I put a trailer out saying, coming summer 2014. So that's the kind of underestimate I had.
That's a little bit of an indication, yeah.
Yeah. It took just so much longer than I thought it was going to take. Yeah, just
what was the part that was the hang-up?
The programming part, because I'd say I kind of learned to program to make this game. Really, I didn't really know how to program before I did this, and so I had to kind of teach myself to program. I'd kind of started before we filmed, before I ran John. Crucially, I kind of said, I do know about programming. I've kind of read the word programming.
He didn't.
Basically, shoots. So yeah, I mean, it took me forever. I mean, the first thing I did was the iPad version. I had to get used to this piece of software I used to make the iPad one, and then I tried to do it on, make the Steam version. I'm completely clueless when it comes to programming, basically, as I've discovered over this 2 years. But it works.
I'm sorry,
just
say it
about.
again, Rupert.
That's not clueless, Tim.
No.
It's
Right.
it's
That's
it's
genius.
kind of
Yeah, it's genius.
it's clueless mixed with reading the internet. That's what it is.
Yes. Well, I mean, listen, anytime you could do that, because the information is so readily available now, I mean,
Yeah.
it becomes so much easier. I was able to buy, you know, a $60 microphone, a $20 arm, and an $80 webcam, and suddenly I've got a
Yeah.
show. It's crazy.
Yeah,
You bought
exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what you need, isn't it? You just
Fantastic.
Rupert's
Say
saying
it again,
things-
Rupert.
Yeah.
What? Hello. No, it's fine. Don't mind me.
But that's what I
But
was
yeah,
trying to say earlier, Tim L. That about the whole thing was winged. We winged everything. We really did. We've never done anything like this before. I've never produced anything. I've never been associate producer on anything at all. I'm a voiceover artist and primarily an actor and sometimes an impressionist. Which let's not talk about that. But anyway, so I hadn't done much else. I beg your pardon.
So
I said, let's talk about
Appar-
that.
Yeah.
apparently that is one of the ghosts in Ryan Rand's closet.
Yeah.
You never know
Yeah.
where the impressions may follow. But anyway, yeah, no, I imagine it really was just kind of a case of everybody here is loving the project that they do. Let's figure out how to get this damn thing done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
So let's
could've-
talk about some of the other people who were out there on set with you. You mentioned Magnus earlier, who played Simon,
Yeah.
and then you had his girlfriend Emma, who was played by.
Go
Anna
on,
Rosa.
You pronounce her name. Go on, Rupert. There's only Rupert here who can do it.
Anna Rosa de Gerthy Butler.
Ooh. I didn't know
Delightful.
that Anna Rosa Butler.
It's easy.
Oh,
Everything.
I told you that years ago. Otherwise, I'd get hit.
and how did you get in contact with her, John?
Rupert knew her.
Delightful.
That was the easiest one.
Yeah, we met years ago and working on a film in Manchester, and just became instant friends. So and John had met her via me. So
Yeah,
she was.
yeah. I'd already met her and I'd already seen an example of her acting, and we were looking for somebody who could not only act but who could also make people's heart beat a little bit faster than normal as well. And she fitted the bill perfectly.
She does that, doesn't
Yeah.
she?
She does, yeah. Yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
all of our cast make people's heart beat fast, not necessarily for the right reasons.
I mean, it's true. The game is full of a striking bunch. You can't deny that.
For some reason or other, we're all a bit striking. Yes.
It makes, especially your wife, Ryan Rand. That was a delightful little turn.
Yeah. Well,
I had a lot of fun with some of the little scenes, the incidental stuff, because it's really fun when a game gives you permission to pay attention to the details.
Yes,
Yeah.
somebody gets it. Well, no. Well, in fact, nobody in Britain gets this. Everyone,
No, they don't.
yourself, Giant Bomb. I don't know if you've heard of Giant Bomb, who's seen they absolutely love it. And we love you for loving it because you can see all the things that we tried to do. And everyone over here seems to think we're trying to take it very seriously, and this is a very serious game. And it's like,
No,
no, this is
it could not be further from a serious game. Are you kidding me?
precisely.
But that's what. Anyway, people
when
are
you're sitting around trying to make lines as for Paul, you know what I mean, just to make him seem ridiculous. I mean, you can't, how can you take that? Anyway, go on. Sorry.
So then you mentioned the other guest star, Paul Darrow, who played Paul Rand.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute,
Two
his
Pauls.
name is the same name as the
Yeah,
character.
oh,
I see what
I
you did there.
apologise for that, didn't I? Because we didn't count. He was written as Paul before we cast Paul Darrow,
Yeah, it was.
wasn't he?
Yeah.
And so kind of, we just had to stick with it. And I kind of apologise and say, I'm
Just
really sorry
lucky
about
coincidence in that
this.
way.
Yeah.
And so that,
Sorry, go on.
what was the process of getting him involved?
Well, you're all gonna go. You're all gonna go yawn because I had a dream about it that Paul Darrow was in. See, Tim's gone to sleep. I had a dream.
And then it happened. I mean, listen.
We had a trailer, which is him closing the door. I don't know if you've seen the trailer. And it says, "Thanks for your interest." It's also at the end of the whole piece. And I
God,
dreamt
we'll
that
talk
whole
about
thing,
that.
And I even saw the house in the dream that we ended up filming in. I'm not bullshitting you, And I woke up one morning and I mentioned this dream to my girlfriend, and she said, "Well, have you asked Paul Darrow?" And I said, "Well, no." And I said, "He's not going to say yes, is he?" And she said, "Well, you haven't asked him, have you?" And then
Exactly.
of course, So
There's no reason to have to make somebody's decision for them.
precisely,
No.
I did that silly thing of assuming he wouldn't be interested. So I searched my memory, and I remembered that I knew somebody called Paul Jones, who's a very good voice artist. Employ him in Britain, but if you do employ me at the same. God, I'm doing myself out of work here. You don't employ Paul Jones. Employ me.
Hey, are you kidding me? We're gonna have Contradiction for the next 20 years. You are more than employed.
Yes, I like the way you speak, Mister.
Yeah.
But
Atlas
I'm a
rises.
little frightened, but yeah.
so what I did is I called Paul Jones and asked if Paul Darrow might be interested, and he said, "Well, I'll put it to him." And he put it to him, and he came back to me and said he's willing to talk further. Tim Follin, the man there, sent him a script, and he kind of talked him. Paul Darrow talked himself out of it. Actually, he didn't like the character. He didn't like the way it was written initially. And
he was. I think he was frightened by the length of the script as well, wasn't he? Because he looked at it and thought, "Oh, come on, I'm not doing that."
There were two things.
Oh, I see.
Two things going on here. Number one, he's a gentleman who's he's in his, I think he's 73, 74, something like that. He's,
Right.
And there was a lot of dialogue to learn. And because you've got Jenks just saying, "Have you seen this? Have you seen that? Have you seen the other?" An actor doesn't have any anchorage to anchor.
There's no naturalistic through line that you can usually build and build the character and go, I know where they start, I know where they end.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
this is the part where I have to make this emotional arc here.
What I thought Paul did was pick on certain bits in the script that he didn't like and use that as an excuse to say, "Oh, actually, good luck with it. It looks great." Because he was supportive of it. He just said, but I think he was just scared at the amount of dialogue there.
How do you tell that?
If I'm wrong, Paul, if you're listening, Paul, or watching, then please, shoot me down in flames. And but I don't think I am. But then we rewrote certain bits for him, and he seemed happy with that. And suddenly, he was back on board, and everything was great. And he really, really,
excellent.
Really does support the project. He loves it. He likes being, he likes the idea of being in something that is very different, and it is very different.
Yes. It is. I mean, and it is, and
lovely on set.
Yeah, it was great.
We filmed Paul's scenes on his birthday in Birdworth. So
really,
so we spent because myself and Rupert particularly are massive fans. I mean, he was our ultimate hero. He was it was him and Tom Baker, wasn't it?
Back in the 70s.
Yeah. So to have him there on his birthday and all of us having all of this insane fun, which we did.
Just having a grand old time being silly.
Yeah, a great time. And then we went for a birthday meal with him, and off he went. And And as he drove away, he went past in the car going,
Perfect. I mean, what better day can you ask for? Seriously.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. It was really
great.
Yeah, that was a good.
Oh man. So let's see. The next person on the list would be your wife, Mr. Rand Rebecca.
I'd worked with Melanie before in a film called I Chop You, which was filmed in 2011. It's a great film, and for some reason it still hasn't been released. Well, I know what the reason is. They've got a problem with one of the scenes. They need to do some, what is it, rotoscoping, Tim? Rotoscoping?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, rotoscoping, where you go in frame by frame and adjust.
So there's a problem with a scene that lasts about 6 seconds, and I'm really, I would like to see that film. It's another interesting, quirky film, you see. So I worked with Melanie on that, and I mean, Melanie's quite an accomplished actress, even. And again, I thought, oh, she might not be interested in this, but she was. And so I called her, and she said, yeah, I'll be up next week. Or was it up, down, up, down? She's down. We're up. Yeah, it was up.
She's
up. So yeah, it did happen in a week, actually. I called everybody needed. And, sorry, you're going through the list. So that was Melanie.
No, yeah, that was Melanie. And then we have the character of James, our very conspiracy-driven, crazy
played
person.
by Stephen Mosley. I haven't worked with Stephen Mosley before, but I have seen his work. I've been to see things that he's been in. He's a friend of a friend, so I'd seen him socially. He started with the same theatre company that I did, Red Ladder Theatre in Leeds. Red Ladder have lost their funding, by the way, everybody, so they need some funding. Don't we all? Everyone in Britain needs some funding.
Yeah, right.
And he's also an author, and we get on well because we love the same things: the Beatles, The Prisoner, Doctor Who, the Avengers. So we had a lot in common. Yeah. So.
Was that? You were saying something, Rupert, about shooting with James.
Yes. Oh no, I was saying, having watched it back, I love him. He's great. He's great. I really like James. I think James has. I think he knows more. I think there's stuff going on with him that he hasn't said.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say with Rebecca, like, there's a lot of very subtle character qualities that get picked up on by the actors, and you wonder, were a lot of those written into the script? Like, you know, the whole,
Look at Tim's face.
obviously abuse, you know, maybe not abusive is the wrong word, but physical relationship between Rand and his wife. Was that in this, like, how much of the small details was written out beforehand and how much of it was just living?
What would you say, John? And some is, I mean, that scene with you, the scene with you and it's being slapped in the pub was entirely your creation, wasn't it?
Myself and Melanie made that up on we only had 40 seconds to come up with a scene because the people who, now here's a story, here's a brilliant anecdote. The reason we only had 40 seconds, and you two clearly can't remember this, is because we were filming in a pub and there was a funeral, a wake in the pub.
Oh God, yeah.
And the family came over at it. Basically, they couldn't come in until we'd finished filming, and their father had just died, and then they'd come in to eat the sandwiches and and have a drink.
Oh God, I do remember it.
As you guys are just unplugging everything as fast as possible, let's get the fuck out.
So I stomped forward and said, "Hello, everybody." Not understanding that it was a funeral. I said, "Hello." I just it was a part. I said, "Hello, everybody. We're just very John Cleese. We're just filming something. Won't be long. Really won't be long. You just stand over there. Stand in the corner. Stand." They did. They went and.
Oh, John!
Stood in the corner, and then somebody came up to me and said, "John, this is a funeral. It's a funeral." And so then we realised that we had to really get our skates
out
and make up a scene. So I said to Melanie, "Let's just do anything. Just give him a slap. Let's just whisper something to each other, and let's just get it done." And it happened like that. So
Oh my God! Like. Here's the thing. You were talking about British sensibilities earlier.
I told you we've got issues, didn't I?
I can just imagine that stomach hitting the floor feeling when you found that out.
Yeah.
Especially when I said, "Can you all just go and stand in the corner?"
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you didn't say, "Oh, we're filming a murder mystery thing."
Yeah.
So
There's a death. There's been a death in the village and we're filming it.
Oh, that's fucking brilliant. Oh my God. And so let's see, some of the other characters that were in the game. The character of Kyle, who I called Zach a whole bunch of times during the live thing.
That's somebody I didn't cast, so that's over to Tim. I didn't cast him.
Kyle is Dan. He's now, what is he? He's my niece's boyfriend.
What is he?
What is he? He's my niece's boyfriend, but he was kind of keen. He was really interested in doing it, and he was, I kind of thought, well, yeah, he's really up for it. Bring him up, let him do it. That's how that works.
Absolutely.
That's how that. Yeah. Just he's up for it. Yeah.
Sometimes it really is just that easy.
But he was very good, wasn't he?
He was
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's ever
like there are some characters, and this goes back to speaking of how good the actors can be when given a good piece of writing, that really make you not like them, and again, the game gives you permission that it's okay to not like these people. They're all really just bad. There's some dark shit going on in this town that is only scratched on the surface in this game.
Kyle was an absolute fact. It was very satisfying to finally slap him.
Yeah. We didn't take those.
Yeah.
You know the take where you slapped him for real? Yeah. That one wasn't the best take.
Is that the one you used?
He was gutted because the best take was the one where you faked it. And so you just sort of...
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't need to punch me then.
It's amazing how that works sometimes, where, I mean, you can do something 100% for real, and it just does not
Yeah,
work on
absolutely.
camera.
That's right. That's right.
For whatever
we killed
reason.
Kate Vine, and for real, and then realized, oh, we should have just faked that, actually.
I was going to ask, you never actually see Kate
No.
living in person.
No.
Was that just a case where you found a girl to be the person in the photo, and then that was all?
Well, yeah. I don't want to say
Who's
too
the
much,
girl-
just in case there's a sequel, basically, and that should give you an indication as to what we're thinking about. But I don't want to say too much. But she is real. Somebody said, did he just cut the photograph out of a magazine? No.
I did originally.
Oh, you did originally, yeah.
Originally, yeah.
Probably. I mean, placeholders are placeholders.
Yeah,
It'd have been very funny if you just accidentally let that in.
No, we know her, and if there's a sequel, we may see more. We don't know, so I don't want to say anything else.
Excellent. Absolutely, absolutely. So, for those who are watching this episode now, hopefully you will have seen all of the VODs. I'll have put them out by now, so you will have seen all the way to the end of the game. We are about to talk about the end of the game now. So, massive spoiler alert. I'm going to put a little spoiler thing over there, so that way you know when we're talking about spoilers, and you can mute me for now. And when you no longer see the little icon, you can come back, and it'll be okay.
Can I just say something
All right.
before you start? We forgot
Of course.
Magnus. Magnus will be so upset.
Oh, I mentioned him at the beginning. We
Okay.
didn't really. Yeah, you're right.
You know,
We didn't
you-
get
you-
to talking about him
Could you just
more.
pop a big picture of Magnus in here just to please him?
Absolutely.
Do that.
I will pop in the biggest, most handsome picture of Magnus that I can
Thank you.
find.
There you go, sorted, Magnus.
All right, so let's see. You get through the end of the game, and you find out who the killer is. And for those who have gotten to this point now, hopefully the people have followed my advice. You find out that it was actually a case of mistaken identity. Overhearing an argument that is mentioned way early in the game
Yeah.
that brings about this entire turn where a murder of jealousy, a crime of passion. What led to that decision and not making it tied into a part of Atlas? Was it just the desire to bring about the second?
Right, I need to explain this, don't I? I've got some explaining to do. This is the
This is like Jenks. You can now interrogate Tim Follin. Go on.
yeah.
This is your chance to ask him
Rupert's frozen.
if this has any meaning to him.
That's not a very flattering thing to freeze on. He's gone as well. We've lost
Is he
Rupert.
gone?
I,
Have we
I'll
lost
go and
Oh no,
add
sad
him
days.
in. I'll go and add him.
Oh yeah,
He's
gone.
coming back. Hang on. Wait a
Yeah.
minute. Let me add people. Rupert Booth.
I think it shows him trying to reconnect.
I've
there.
got him.
You have some splaining to do, Mr. Tim.
Right, I'll leave the room now, I think. What happened was, when I was writing this, as I say, I thought this was a demo, and in a way, the budget didn't really increase anyway, so it was kind of the budget of a demo, if not less. But what happened was, basically, I know I had all these threads going. The demo was taken out of a larger story. That's what happened. And I basically had to wrap it up at that point because I realized it was just going to be too long if so I kind of picked a point and thought, well, I can terminate it there if I make that the ending and then work backwards from there, sort of thing. So yeah, there are quite a lot of threads that don't kind of tie up in this one. And it was
But
just,
I think that's actually much more of a lovely thing than you may realize, and not quite such a shameful topic, because the game itself is probably about 7 hours if you take the time and kind of work everything out yourself and don't use the cheats. By the way, 100% of the game, I did not use a single cheat throughout the entire time.
Well.
And I mean, it works if you take the time to think it through and have a couple people in chat helping you out. But it really does make the case for, okay, this is really setting up the story. This is what a good first game does. It gets you in the world. It gives you just enough of a taste to make you hungry for more.
Yeah.
And it gives you the promises of what's to come. Like, you learn enough about Atlas and Third Eye and all of the inner workings and cult stuff to make you really want that fucking sequel when the reveal comes around and the door gets slammed in your face.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
hopefully, and that's great if that's how it's working. You know, it was totally accidentally, if that's, but you know.
Well, guess
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
Guess
yeah.
what, Tim Leftwich? That's what the people of Britain are complaining about.
yeah.
Of course, I mean, of course.
You know.
Of course they do. I mean, but people are going to complain about just about anything. And
Yeah.
you created an experience that is very self-contained, that is done in a reasonable amount of time, that doesn't require this ungodly commitment of 30 plus hours to sit there
Yeah.
and go through every option of an RPG and every side quest.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The-
well, that's great.
the story-
That was-
Because the way the time progresses, it has to progress with your progression in the story. It's not based on actual time.
Yeah.
You don't feel that heart-throbbing pressure of not doing well enough,
Yeah.
and
Well-
it leaves you at your pace.
You really do get it, don't you, Tim? You really do.
Yes.
It's good. It's
Marvelous.
good.
Like from a
what-
design perspective, I totally I get it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that whole thing about, like you're saying, that was the core concept of the contradiction thing, was how to make it so that you can never die, basically, and it's, you know, that you can just keep going until you do it. You know, that was the whole point of that.
Yeah.
I didn't want that thing where you kind of do something and get it wrong and then have to start do the same thing again because you're watching all the same video again. It's really boring, you know. So that's
Right.
kind of,
And you're having to figure it out in different ways, and you have a couple of different methods by which to figure out what to do next. It's not just
Yeah.
going around and asking everyone. You can call the chief and get a funny little bit of dialogue. Who is the chief, by the way?
It's me.
Excellent. And you can also search for tips, Rupert. We're
Rupert, your
drifting. We're
laptop's
drifting.
falling off.
We're
This is
drifting.
brilliant. It's a good job he hasn't got any dildos on his shelf, isn't it?
I know, right? Rupert's falling away.
oh, it's going.
Let's see how far it'll fall before he.
Rupert,
At any rate,
Rupert,
Yes?
Here is Rupert.
your laptop, Rupert.
Yeah, I'm dealing with it. Sorry, I'm looking at you rather than the webcam. It's stuck to the top with gaffer tape. It's terrible.
Oh, that's...
that's hysterical.
I've got
It's
three
going
pictures
again.
of frozen. No,
Oh, there it goes again.
Worst cameraman in the world. He's actually got a cameraman there that we didn't employ.
is that good? Everything's frozen for me now. I can see 3 still pictures. So I've
Right.
oh, it just refreshed itself. Great. Am I in shot? I don't know.
Excellent.
No.
Well, here's the thing, Rupert. We didn't lose a single frame of all of that, so it's captured forever.
I'm so pleased.
Oh, that's all right. If you
Yeah, that's good.
if you bend down. This is like contradiction itself. This is how it went.
Yeah.
This is how it went.
Oh God!
we can
Yeah,
see
it's
the-
true. People, the chaotic nature of production,
Excellent.
Oh, this is the thing with shooting.
and now he's throwing his own white balance off. It's great.
Do you remember, John? I mean, we did that shot of James at the lake. You know, Stephen. It was me and Rupert. It was just you and me and James and whatever his name was, Stephen.
I like this anecdote. I like this one.
Yeah.
One of those fuckers who was there with us on set. It doesn't really matter.
But we the sound boom kit went off in someone's car and we couldn't get hold of them, so we had no sound for that. We had the onboard mic for the camera and we just had to put the camera really close.
Yeah.
Somebody actually
Get there in the first.
accidentally drove off with a microphone. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I was just
Oh,
saying.
wow.
Something back of someone's car. Yeah. There you go.
Oops.
Link on.
You know, like we were talking about, when you're doing this kind of very rapid pace type production,
Yeah.
shit happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit happens, and you can either fix it very quickly by panicking and running around and throwing lots of money at the problem, or cooler heads can prevail and you just figure out the solution and press
Oh,
through
we
it.
didn't have lots
Yeah.
of money to throw it in, did we? We had about 4 minutes. You know, that's the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the only thing that has to be perfect is this.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
This little section.
Yeah,
That's it. And even then, that can be kind of depending on the scene or the character involved. Right,
Oh.
Rupert? Sorry, I did.
Rupert looks like he's
Uh,
out of it.
I'm
Oh, no.
trying to make sense of what's going on my Skype at the moment. It
Oh,
fixes
right.
itself every.
Well, we can
and-
still see you and we can still hear you, so that's okay.
As long as I'm in shot,
Maybe
eye
Rupert.
contact. I could be anywhere. I could be in Acapulco for all I know. Maybe I am.
Well, maybe it's because you're in London. Maybe that's the problem. You need to come out of London, experience the country.
I really need to get out of London. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I feel like that this is a pretty good place to kind of start rounding out the show. I've always enjoyed the Inside the Actor Studios method of ending on a questionnaire, so I too have a reappropriated version of the Proust Personality Questionnaire. And it goes a little bit something, well, it's going to go a little different than usual, because I'm actually just going to pose one question to each of you in kind of a rapid succession instead of waiting for one person to, or three people to answer one question. So we'll kind of do this a little bit more rapid fire style than usual. John, what is your least favorite, or what is your favorite word?
My favourite what?
Word.
My least favourite word.
No, your actual favorite word.
I don't know. That's word. One word. Out of
Yes.
how many words?
John, I know most words, and that's not one of them.
Out of how many words? I don't know. The ones that are in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Let's limit it to just those.
Oh, we do the OED over here.
Surprise.
That's rubbish.
Excellent. Rupert, what is your least favorite word?
Surprise.
What?
Say it again.
Paradigm.
Paradigm.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a reason behind that? It's a very odd selection.
It is.
Thank you.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I guess I can agree with that. He said it was a very odd question.
It is.
so-
It's really strange.
Oh, don't worry. They only get better from here. Tim, what sound or noise do you love?
What
Sound of an intruder in his room. That's the sound.
Yeah. Sound
What
of someone
sound
coming to
or-
get him.
What sound or noise do I love?
Mhm.
That's the thing. Oh,
What the hell is this?
there is one, and it's really soppy, and I don't want to say it.
The sound of love.
It's the sound of
Oh.
children laughing, because my children laugh all the time. So there you go. That's my favourite sound.
That's not
Well-
soppy.
No, it totally makes sense. You have one just on the other side of that door that you're ignoring right now.
Yeah.
You love children.
As long as they're laughing, not like that. But...
Fair enough. Yes. John, what sound or noise do you hate?
I hate people shouting aggressively,
Yes.
and that
Fair
is actually the truth. I know it's the opposite of what he's just said, but it is actually the truth. When I hear the aggression in the air, no, don't like it.
Yeah. Rupert, what hero or heroine, no judgments here, do you identify with the most?
Odysseus.
Excellent choice. Tim, what villain?
What villain
Mhm.
do I like the most, or would I like to be?
Either or, however you want to phrase the question in your mind. Like here, and I'll talk about this a little bit more as we kind of get through these questions. This questionnaire isn't so much about the answers as about how you think about the questions and how you give the it's a personality questionnaire more than
About mine. Nice.
Yeah. It's who's my favourite villain? Well, it's definitely, I would have to say Christopher Lee, wouldn't I? Because he's kind of, camp.
yeah.
Listen,
Absolutely. I mean, he's one of the few people who's able to straddle that line very, very
Yeah, certainly, yeah. In The Wicker Man.
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Yeah. There you go. I'll go with
John, what would be your superpower?
My superpower. What would be my superpower? To remove anxiety from anybody with the click of a finger.
Now that's not a power you could never abuse.
You weren't thinking
Or-
about it like that. would
To
you?
phrase it another way, that's a power that you would abuse every time you get a chance. Like every time I got the
can't
chance.
see how I'd abuse that actually. Oh, wait a minute. If I step into the mind of somebody a little less principled than myself, yes, I can say, oh, you
Oh, what a great leap for someone who just played a charismatic cult leader. Someone who can remove the anxieties and fears from a person. Incidentally, what the game was about.
Yeah, the person who said when I said, "Would you like to play a cult leader?" said, "Well, yeah, because I'm born to be a cult leader." Those were your words. your words, John.
Is that the word? Is that what I said?
Yes, I remember it quite clearly.
Oh,
well,
so, yeah, and you've said that. How many viewers and listeners do you get, Tim?
Enough. Dozens. Literally dozens. What were you saying, Rupert? Was he, in fact, a great cult leader?
He was a magnificent leader.
It was a magnificent cult. Great big cult he was.
It's just great big cult. Tim, what would be your super weakness?
Super weakness? What would be my super weakness?
He's
as opposed to what it is.
I mean,
I am
either
made of
or.
super weaknesses. That's my.
If you have one now that you would care to share, that's decent enough for public consumption, then by all means.
I'm
Hi,
just
guys.
one weakness.
Hello.
What's going on? I'm being invaded now. What would be my super weakness? What would be your super weakness? What would be your super weakness? Dogs.
Yeah.
Dogs.
That's a super weakness that's everywhere. You're gonna have to avoid that.
That's the super weakness. It's actually dogs. Yeah. Not in a good way.
Rupert, what turns you on creatively? What gets your wheels turning?
Collaborating, actually, genuinely collaborating with brilliant people. It's great. Love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I imagine makes a project like this just right up your alley.
Oh, totally. I mean, it was exhausting. It was a lot of hard work. It was fantastic fun.
Yeah.
Nothing I'd done before, so I was coming into it completely new, working with these guys, getting these different actors in there every day. Oh, it was great. Loved it.
And so then, what turns you off?
Peculiar left field questions that I didn't get into.
Well, unfortunately, you are here on my time, so you're answering my questions. Unfortunately, it would be more questions about awkward moments on set if it wasn't stuff about your personality. So don't worry. The awkward questions will just keep on coming. John, what other talent, other than the ones you've clearly been gifted with, would you like to have?
Ooh, I would like to have more ability to make people laugh.
You've got that.
Yeah, but more ability, even more ability. The ability to make everybody and anybody laugh. I think it is linked to the anxiety thing of taking. I just want people to enjoy their lives, and I just know a lot of people who don't. And I think I want all of the skills to make sure that I can make sure that people do enjoy their lives. Because if they're enjoying their lives,
very
I'll
benevolent
enjoy mine. It's that simple.
Yeah.
That's a very fair point, because when the people around you are in fact enjoying their lives, it makes you a hell of a lot easier to enjoy yours.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because they stay out of your damn way.
Because they're off enjoying themselves. Yes.
Tim, what advice would you give to your 13-year-old self?
Just
Stop it. That's what.
stop it. Yeah.
Just stop it right now.
Yeah. Stop doing that. I'd say whatever it was. I don't know what I would get to. I'd probably try and explain that the world is kind of not quite as nice as you probably think it is at this point.
The world's a little bit shit.
Yeah,
I think it's a good way to put it.
do you really want to tell a 13-year-old that? I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, he's gonna hear those words eventually anyway. Did you see the new Pixar movie, Inside Out?
Yeah.
There's a brilliant scene at the end of the movie that they talk about the little version of the girl before puberty. She knows one swear word, and the Lewis Black character makes a big point of like, we can use that one swear we know. And then she gets older, and then they upgrade this console in her brain or whatever, and he's like, now I have all the swears. And that just reminded me of that.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of dreading my kids sort of getting to that, losing the innocence point sort of thing. I'm trying to delay it as long as possible, but it's obviously going to happen.
I see.
Yeah.
So maybe that answer might be a little bit more biased towards real life.
Kind of. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I'm kind of keeping them very
Fair enough.
artificially innocent at the moment, to the point of kind of crippling their intellectual development. But I'm sure
Rupert, what is something that you would say only you do?
Sorry, what?
What is something that you would say only you do?
Play Inspector.
Besides play Inspector Jenks. Oh, damn it. I almost beat you to the punch.
Stick on.
Yep, you got that. You squeezed it in there before I could say that wouldn't be a good. Okay.
So I heard that.
John, what is your favorite curse word?
Curse word. Shit.
I don't think
Excellent.
so, John.
Tim,
At
yours?
school, I tried to make shit off popular, but it didn't work.
I mean,
my friend, I've got a friend who's a comedian, and he plays a character called Gary Lestrange, and in his latest single, he uses the phrase "shit off," and I was so pleased that somebody had brought it back. But he never.
I get this picture of a jetpack type situation when you say that.
Shit off.
Yeah.
Same question, Tim. This one will kind of go. I like this question very much, so we'll go around the board with this one. Tim, what's your favorite curse word?
The thing is, the favorite one is not the one I use most, which is probably bloody, which is not. It's very uncursey, isn't it? As a word, as a curse word, it's an uncursey curse word.
But I imagine it just feels so good saying.
I'm totally
Sorry,
losing
you cut out
you,
there.
Tim. I can't hear anything. Yeah, I can't hear anything. Sorry. Go again. Sorry.
I was saying that I imagine it just feels so good to say
Oh yeah.
the word bloody.
Yeah. That's. I don't know.
Yeah. Rupert, your favorite curse word?
As well.
It probably.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Delightfully, it probably is fuck.
That's my favorite.
I'm going.
That's my favorite. It's just so versatile. Oh no, John's virgin ears. Oh no.
Disgusting.
You all can just, we can just shit off. That's basically what it is right there.
He's gone.
I'm back.
Oh damn, darn, he's back. Oh, now we have to go. We have to go now. So Tim, where would you one day like to live?
Oh, sorry, I took my headphones off. Just you were asking that. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah.
Where would you one day like to live?
Oh, where would I one day like to live? Probably by the sea somewhere. Coastal village, big wicker man on the hill, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere like that. Yeah, I went to Scotland recently, and that was pretty cool. So I'd like to move somewhere. Although it's very cold, so maybe not Scotland.
Yeah. I imagine it's probably one of the few places that's a little bit more cold and rainy than England.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Cornwall is probably a better choice. It's the same. It's got the same Cornish, fishing villages sort of thing. That's probably the place I will end up at some point. Yeah.
What about you, Rupert?
Space, I think.
You need to come back.
That is an excellent answer. Like seriously, I am totally on board with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually an answer we have not gotten before.
I'm amazed as well. I mean, it seems obvious to me. Of course, I want to live in space.
I know, right?
Yeah.
John, what about you?
Canada, I think. Canada or the Britain that I was born into that doesn't seem to exist.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That's it's gone, that one.
It's gone.
It's a bit like when Stanley Kubrick left New York, he kind of hankered after New York, but then he kind of, gone by the time he got back,
I like Britain with well-defined seasons, which we used to have. Now it just rains all of the time, and we get 2 weeks of summer, and that's it.
Well, I mean,
down here,
here's the thing.
It stops being summer. It's so incredibly, ridiculously hot.
Well, hot, yeah.
Northwest.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
We actually just started getting all that hot weather shit here. I'm in the middle of bloody Texas, and it's supposed to be 100 degrees starting in like May, but it actually has been fairly wet this whole time. A whole bunch of hurricanes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Look at us talking about the bloody weather.
That's very British. Very British. In fact, Tim, I think you're turning you British.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing. I was going to say this when we were talking about places to live. Moving around everywhere is so much easier now because planes.
Yeah.
That it's very easy to just say, you know what? I want to live in the world, wherever that happens to be, where I am. I want to have a place in the mountains and on the beach, and also maybe I want to go to the fjords in Norway. They're absolutely gorgeous. I would love to live there at some point. Like why do you have to choose just one place?
I think you may have Norwegian genes in there somewhere. So if you don't mind me saying,
I am a.
Well, have you noticed? Not just Norwegian genes. He's got a Doctor Who scarf.
That's true. And the Tom Baker scarf, which you mentioned earlier, and incidentally, there is that video of you and Magnus, who we only briefly mentioned earlier, so this would be another chance to put him in the show, recreating a scene from the two Doctors interacting with each other, and it was great.
Yeah.
Well, yes. And the most frightening thing is that in 2 weeks I'm going to a Doctor Who convention as a guest, because I was in I voiced the first Doctor in the 50th anniversary episode of Doctor Who, and also voiced the first Doctor in a recreation of a missing Hartnell episode. And so they've invited me along to this convention, and I'm going to be there with Tom Baker and Sylvester McCoy and all of these amazing people, and I'm going to have to probably share the stage with him. I hope not, because I'm terrified.
You're probably going to have to do Tom Baker to Tom Baker.
Which
Yeah.
and then
I
he'll
think
punch me in the
that's the
face.
thing that has.
Does that
Oh God, that's going to be hysterical. Whatever happens, Tim or Rupert, if you guys are there, I want you to film it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just make sure it makes it on YouTube somehow.
It's not that far from where I am, so it's possible.
Brilliant.
I think Rupert will actually come along. So if anything terrible happens, he will capture it on.
I'll capture it.
I was going to say on
absolutely,
celluloid, but there's no celluloid.
You should capture it on celluloid.
yeah, capture it on celluloid. Don't take
Super 8 camera.
From. Well,
So our last question here,
before.
Rupert, if you had a choice,
Oh, hello.
how long would it take you to respawn after you died, so to speak?
Respawn?
Yeah, like in video games now, when you die, you have like a 5 to 7 minute waiting period to respawn, and then you come back to life. How long would it take for you to come back to
Your
life?
character Jenks, I think, is.
Back here? To Earth?
Yes.
Well,
On
I could
Earth.
be-
Or wherever. Listen, the question is just a framework. However you want to phrase it. After that is up to you.
Right. I don't think I would. I think I'd happily transfigure to the next level of existence and become a kind of cloud of intellect floating about in space, thus living in space.
Yeah.
To interact with it.
That's it.
One of those energy entities that's out there we don't know about yet.
I'd be constantly threatening Captain Kirk. I'd be that thing. That's me in the future. I'm
Yes.
William Shatner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. I love it.
Yes.
John, what about you?
How can you rephrase the question? No, can you ask the question again?
Of course.
How would
If you had the choice, because clearly, we can't, how long would it take you to respawn
Right.
after you died?
Okay. Well, a little bit like Rupert, I'm not exactly sure whether I would like to come back on this level. I think I've seen it all, and I think I have respawned a few times. I am one of these people who I think I've done this. I think I've been here 1,000 times. I think I've been here too many times. I think this is probably the last time. I think it might be one more visit. There might be one more visit. There's a few things that I'd like to look at. Cheeky.
Here's the thing. With things like that dream that you had and it coming, I've had little deja vu moments as well that have been like, I remember this happening before. I mean, you never know. The way that brain synapses work, or the way that this whole machine functions, we have no freaking clue how it happens.
Precisely. I mean, it's a very rudimentary machine, isn't it? This thing that we have, and I'm very much aware of other levels of existence. I think I'd like to have a little look at that.
Fair enough. Tim, what about you?
About 3 minutes.
Fair enough. You're ready to just jump right back in immediately. Make sure whatever danger is cleared the hell out,
Yeah.
and then we're
either
right
that-
back in.
I mean, it'd be nice to become a cloud of, stupidity or whatever it is. But I mean, I'm not. I'll pick.
Listen,
I don't know.
the House of Commons is full.
Yeah.
Be a politician. Yeah, same thing.
It's
Wait,
okay. You can come
yeah.
over here. We have our Congress. You can just
Yeah.
join right in there.
Okay.
You'll fit right in.
Maybe you can kind of come back in negative time, and then I can come back sort of 50 years earlier. And that would be kind of fun.
Now, that's it. Now, if we can do
Yeah.
that. Sorry, yes. I mean, if we.
I'll change
Or
it a
maybe
little bit.
300 years in the future.
No,
Yeah.
Or find out what the year
Absolutely.
3000
not
has in
interested
store.
in the future. Sorry.
Really?
It's about
No,
generations
no.
anyway, so what's the point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, Rupert. Yeah. Did you hear what Rupert said there?
No, I didn't. I missed
Well,
it.
apparently, Rupert, repeat it. Go on.
But we've only got about 3 or 4 generations left as a species if we carry on like this. So no, there is no future
All
for
right.
the human race. It's all fine.
Fair enough.
That's why you
There
should
is
have-
there's David Attenborough's whole his views on the population increases.
Yeah.
That is a very interesting methodology to
On
think
that one,
about, and
we passed the point of no return in 1968, so yeah, screwed.
yeah,
I love your acceptance of it. I love your acceptance of it. It's good.
yeah,
Sure, you live here.
absolutely. Life's a gas now. Might as well enjoy it. Well, on that incredibly bright note, I think that's a great place to end a conversation with some murder mystery game people. So I want to thank my guests, John, Tim, and Rupert, for coming on the show. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to plug before we get out of here?
The sequel to Contradiction. We need a financial backer. If we need what do we need? We need £500,000, please.
Yeah.
£500,000 would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, and that means buy the damn game.
That means buy the damn game. Yeah. If we can sell a couple of million copies, we will do a sequel. How's that?
Absolutely.
We're about 2
I think
years
that
off
is a
at the
great
present
way.
rate, but that's
Say what, Tim?
I thought we were about 2 years off at the present rate, but we'll get there eventually.
Hey, 2 years is a hell of a lot better than 14.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like it's becoming a little bit of a cult phenomenon. So you never know. What you said earlier, Tim. We might be here in 20 years' time, still laughing at the original Contradiction.
Well, I'm glad that I'm able to help in what little ways that I can, even if it's just playing the game and enjoying it and loving it and getting to sit here and talk to you guys for a little bit.
Huge help.
Really glad you enjoyed it.
To my audience, you can interact with them as well. You can find them. Their Twitter handles have been underneath them this whole time. Thankfully, it's just all of their names. That unified branding, you've got to love it. So, John Guilor at John Guilor, at Rupert Booth, and at Tim Follin. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes. Yeah, I think.
And then if I remember right, the Twitter handle for the actual Contradiction account is Atlas Founders?
Atlas Leaders, but we have two accounts.
Atlas Leaders.
We've got Atlas Leaders, and then we've got Contradiction VG, standing for video game, not vagina.
Right.
Why would it be?
Contradiction Vagina is a totally separate game.
Listen, the Contradiction Vagina will be in the shops soon. Just
We've had that discussion already, Tim.
It would really sell.
and the Contradiction
Legs Wide Open, I think it was called, wasn't it?
Sorry.
I think it was the Stanley Kubrick follow-up, Legs Wide Open. I think that's what we were discussing last time, I
We
remember.
did discuss a
I
film.
don't know how far we got with it, but
We only got as far as the time.
Points
we only got as far as the thigh.
So it's at Atlas Leaders and also at Contradiction VG. The reason there are two is because one is more technical issues run by Tim, and the Atlas Leaders one is more fun and caption competitions, behind the scenes pictures.
Right, the social media
Yeah,
portions
so we've got to
the game.
You can follow them both.
Fair enough. Absolutely. And feel free to do so, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. You've been watching this on youtube.com/Tim Leftwich. My name is Tim Leftwich. You can find me at Tim Leftwich on Twitter. Again, unified branding. You gotta love it. Another show is concluded. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And as always, we'll see you next time.